Ruthie.
And I'm Hammer.
And we are two Get Outside.
Two people traveling the world for 2 years looking for a new place to live.
We recently spent a whole month in Egypt, and a few of those days were spent in Luxor, which is the land of the pharaohs. And in this video, we're going to show you how to get to Luxor, where to stay there, and what you're gonna do while you're there.
Let's kick things off with transportation. The 4 biggest ways to get over to Luxor is by plane. So you can take a flight from Cairo, you can take a flight from outside of Cairo, depending on where you're flying from, and it can cost as little as $100 and upwards to $500, depending on where you're flying from into Luxor. The second option is by boat. You can take a cruise from Cairo over to Luxor and then from there to Aswan. This is a really popular option, and if we had more time, we would have definitely gone this route. The next way is the sleeper train. This has been a really popular route, especially by YouTubers, and I'm pretty sure it's because they've been sponsored by them. I think this is the least economical way because it's $300 round trip, and it's actually longer than the bus. The bus is what we chose. It is $25 round trip from Cairo, and it takes about 7 hours to get there.
What's up, friends? We are about to take a bus to Luxor. Usually what you'll see on YouTube is people taking the very expensive train to go from Cairo to Luxor, but we're taking a $25 business class bus. Actually, it's Elite Plus. But
round trip, $25.
Round trip, $25.
This is Ruthie. Look at all the leg room. It's actually a lot more spacious than I thought.
In Luxor, you have a few different options. The main 2 options are obviously the East Bank and the West Bank, since the River Nile divides Luxor into 2 pieces. The West Bank is known as the land of the dead. That's where a lot of the tombs are that you're going to want to see. And then the East Bank is known as the land of the living. Luxor isn't totally built up for tourism yet, since a lot of tourists actually come in as day trips from other places or with tourism agencies. So if you're booking on your own, there's not a huge range of hotels or Airbnbs that you can choose from, but they're still super available and super cheap. We chose Airbnb and we paid $16 a night for our own villa with our own bathroom and kitchen and a balcony with a great view of the Nile. You could also choose hotels or hostels, which could be better, especially if you don't speak Arabic, because then the people who work at the hotel can help you book taxis and figure out what you want to see and how you can get there.
The big thing anywhere you go is what to do. In Luxor, there is a lot to do. In Luxor, it is incredibly hot, so you can't expect to see all of the sites in a short amount of time. It's not gonna happen. If you try to fit in 4 or 5 sites in one day, you are going to overheat. It is 40 to 45 degrees Celsius, which is 100 to 115 degrees Fahrenheit every single day. What you want to do is try to visit as many sites as possible in the mornings or at nights.
On the West Bank, which is the land of the dead, and the side that we stayed on, we went to the Valley of the Kings, Hatshepsut Temple, and Habu Temple. There's also these 2 huge statues that come up that kind of used to be the gateway of Luxor. They are the epitome of what you'd see when you go to Luxor. They're huge, super picturesque, and you don't even have to pay anything to go in there.
You're gonna need to book a taxi in Luxor. So you can negotiate with the taxi to bring you to all the sites that you want to see on that one specific side per day. On the land of the dead, we got a taxi. I spoke with him in the morning. I said, we want to go to all these sites. This is how much we're gonna pay you, and we were good to go. I totally recommend you do that, and whatever price they give you guys, divide it by half, if not a third, because I promise they're ripping you off. The Valley of the Kings was amazing. The Valley of the Kings is 200 pounds to go in per person, and there's 12 temples to go inside, but we can only choose 3 for 200 pounds. So I don't know which ones we're gonna choose.
When we got our tickets, I asked the guy, one of these guys who work here, he was really nice. I asked him like which one is his favorites and which one should we go to. So he said the best 3 were Ramses the 4th, Mernptah, Rithi can probably pronounce that better than me, and then Ramses the 3rd. So those 3, if you were to choose any 3, those 3 are the best 3 here. Oh, you got the hat on, Ruthie.
Gotta protect my face, you know.
So the tombs actually look like this from the outside, and then you go inside. They're actually just like holes in the mountain.
We went in there.
We went in there. That was pretty cool, actually. Remember?
That one I really liked, but I liked all the ones that we went into. They were each very different and had their own character. It's just incredibly insane to me how old these places are, but how well kept everything looks. Like the paint on there still looks like it was painted yesterday. And I kept asking, I was like, no way that like this has never been touched up. And everyone's like, yeah, like this is how it was discovered, and it's just stayed that way because the sun doesn't really get into the tombs, so everything is preserved really, really well, like the colors.
It's so hot.
I need water. I'm hungry.
And it's incredible. I just cannot believe that the color is still there. You're not allowed to film inside unless you buy a ticket to film. Hatshepsut is a temple for the pharaoh Hatshepsut. She was the queen, right? She was the queen. I don't know much about her. I'm sorry that I don't know my own history. I wish I did. But it is a beautiful temple. It's by itself in the desert, and there is nothing surrounding it. And the walkway up to it makes it that much more majestic. It is absolutely insane. And when you walk up, you can see some beautiful statues in the upstairs, but I definitely recommend going downstairs and to the left because there's this one area where not a lot of tourists go, to be quite honest, and there are so many statues there, and it has the perfect view of the sky and the sun. Habu Temple was Ruthie's favorite though.
That was one where it's literally out in the open, the sun is touching it all the time, and yet still on the ceilings as you're walking underneath gateways, you can see like clear as day all of the colors that were used back in the day on all of the hieroglyphics and the paintings. It is incredibly beautiful, but again, it was so hot, and that was the last thing we visited that day, so we were getting really tired, really thirsty, and didn't have a lot of time to spend there, but it was absolutely beautiful. Habu Temple isn't as big as Valley of the Kings or Hatshepsut Temple, but there's still, it feels like days worth of stuff to see.
On the land of the living, there are two major sites that you're going to want to see, and that is Luxor Temple and Karnak. Luxor Temple is a really interesting one because if you get there at the right time, you will be the only one there, and it's incredible.
We're the only ones here. Look.
At Luxor Temple, when you go inside, you will see a row of sphinxes, and that row of sphinxes used to go from Luxor Temple all the way down to Karnak, which is insane. So I think Karnak was actually the marketplace back in the day. I don't know if that's true, but I don't know that either. Yeah. I wish I knew my history. If you guys get to Luxor Temple at the right time, which is as early as it opens.
I like this a lot more than yesterday because the heat isn't as intense. Like the sun's coming out now, so it'll probably be pretty intense in a couple of hours, but we woke up really early, which was super hard to do, to be quite honest, for me, because I like to sleep in. So we woke up around 5:30 to get here by 7. We were like snails this morning. Yeah. But we should have really been here by like 6:30. Totally fine though. Still nobody here. The bus comes around like 10, so the tour buses are from between 10 to 3.
Luxor Temple opens up around 7 or 8 a.m. We'll put the right time right here. And it closes around 9 p.m., so very late at night. I would recommend getting there first thing in the morning because you could beat out all of the tourists and you can get pictures of it in the morning, which is the best time to get shots. Honestly, the sky looks beautiful and it's not too hot, so you can spend a lot of time seeing everything throughout. If you are not up for waking up early, you can go at night. So they do a sound and light show at night and you can go check it out at nighttime. I think it looks really, really awesome just seeing the lights reflecting off of all of the statues within the Luxor Temple. So definitely a very, very unique experience, and it's a win-win with either one.
And it's pretty easy to get from Luxor Temple up to Karnak. Karnak is massive. We spent about 2 hours there and it was not nearly enough time to see everything. There's so much to walk around and see and explore. And so I would just recommend, if you can have an extra day, just like save a whole day to see Karnak, because totally worth doing that. There's so much to see. It's so beautiful. And that's also the one that's the most packed with tourists. Out of all the places that we went to, the only place where we really saw a lot of people was in Karnak.
Karnak is huge. Definitely recommend allocating at least 3 hours there so you could see everything. We actually closed it out and we needed more time there than we had. We only had about 2.5 hours, and I wish we had like 3-4 hours because I could have spent the whole day there. There was a lot of places where you can get shade, so it was really, really awesome to escape the sun for a little bit while still admiring a little bit of history. One of the biggest things that can be done in Luxor is a Nile cruise. You're along the Nile. This is the lifeblood of history. This is where history began and the origin of our species as a whole, so you have to take this in. A lot of things that most people do is they do a typical cruise, right? And that costs a lot of money. What you can do in Luxor is you can book out one of the boats that are right along the Nile, and you can negotiate with one of the guys just to take you up and down the Nile for an hour, 2 hours, however long you want. We negotiated with our boat driver to take us to Banana Island, which is about 30 minutes away from where we're staying, and let us see Banana Island, and then after that, take us back to the other side, the East Bank, to see some more sights, which is about 45 minutes from Banana Island. So in total, we spent about 2 hours with the boat and an hour and a half or so on the boat. And it was plenty of time for us to really take in the Nile, and it was incredible. The whole thing ended up costing us 200 pounds. I would definitely recommend negotiating. It's absolutely worth it, and you will get a beautiful view of the Nile unlike any you have seen before.
And for all the times where you're not renting out your own private boat, the ferry that takes you back and forth from the East Bank to the West Bank is only £5, which is roughly 25 cents.
In terms of what to eat, we talk about this with every city, but Luxor doesn't have a lot of restaurants. They have McDonald's and they have kushari spots here or there and places to get food and tamaya, so you can get good food. However, almost all of the places that we went to did not have air conditioning, and it's really, really hard eating in the heat of Luxor.
Eating hot food in hot weather.
Yeah. So what we did was we actually took it to go and we ate back in our hotel room. The whole time I was wondering, like, where do all the tourists eat? Because I didn't see any. And then my cousin took me out to eat at one of the cruise ships, which was where all the tourists were. That was the best meal that I had in all of Luxor, honestly.
Oh, the kushari and hawashi was really good.
Yeah. The fresh food is really, really good, but you have to, like, get the food and then you're salivating until you get back to your hotel to eat it.
Especially, again, if you don't speak Arabic, it's a lot harder to find those places and to know 100% if it's, like, safe for you to eat there. So
overall, I think Luxor is an incredible place to go. If you're up for it, you can definitely do it on a budget and do it without a guide. However, I do think for a place like this, a guide would be absolutely helpful, not just to help you understand more of the history of what you're seeing, but also to make sure that your trip is running as smoothly as possible and everything is done with ease.
So we hope that you make it to Luxor. It is a must-do if you're going to Egypt. If you're visiting Cairo, you 100% have to visit Luxor. Like, there's no excuses for you. So we hope that this was really, really helpful. Please like and subscribe.
We loved Luxor, and we are 100% going to go back to Egypt so that we can see Aswan and give you guys all of the details on Aswan and more cities throughout Egypt. See you guys for our next adventure.
We love Egypt.